Mr. Dumas, your host for the second part of the NAACP Truth Show. Joining me is President Westbrooks, and we're having an invited guest, Miss
Hey,
Miller.
Mr. Nick Miller, good to see you again.
Good afternoon. Thank y'all for having me. Good to see you too.
We wanted you to come on and kind of talk about tomorrow and what's going on with that so people will be aware of it. If you can give us some information, because it's very important that we do be present for this tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So tomorrow we are hosting a press conference. The Secretary of the State Elections Board is holding their meeting in Macon. And one of the first cases where they are attempting to prosecute the food and water, that provision that was passed down through Senate SB 202, will be heard tomorrow. Back in 2020, we have partners who work across the state. They were doing line warming. They just had a food and beverage station set up. We remember when early voting started in 2020, it was extremely hot. Lines were long. We were in the middle of a pandemic. A lot of boards of elections offices were not prepared for the lines. And so we had partners there with Black Voters Matter shirts on, this plain shirts, no campaigning, who were passing out water and providing comfort to those voters who were waiting in those long lines on that extremely hot day. And so after SB 202 passed, the Secretary of State decided to go back and retroactively try to charge these individuals for doing that, even though the law was not in effect at that time.
That's not going to work.
That's what we said. Work. We know that this is more of an administrative hearing. We don't anticipate that they will charge them, but just the intimidation tactics that have occurred. They had a gun pulled on them at that time. A woman wielded her weapon, as a threat. They had to go through a lot of things in Dougherty County with, the DA, with the Board of Registrars there, and then it escalated. And so, proposing that they be charged retroactively is not going to work. So tomorrow we're holding a press conference right after that hearing. We want to stand in solidarity with them, let them know that they are not alone, but we also want to show strength in numbers with the coalition of activists and grassroots partners like the NAACP, Common Cause, ACLU, and local grassroots folks who have been fighting against SB 202 since
from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So what time can you tell us? So they're going to be an administrative hearing. Will the public be able to come into this administrative hearing?
Yes, the public will be able to attend. We want to pack the hearing out in support. As a matter of fact, we've reached out to, again, the entire progressive universe across the state. We've reached out to D9 members because a lot of people don't know that on that day when they were passing out water, members of D9 orgs were standing out with their shirts on. And they have those nonpartisan shirts, AKA's votes or Delta votes. No one was signaled out except for the team members that had on Black Voters Matter gear.
Well, just here this past election, one of our members, the police was called on one of our members at Georgia, one of the colleges. She had on her shirt, and it was other organizations that had on their shirts, and she was the only one that was singled out. We didn't get a time. She went out somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still there, Miss?
I'm here.
Okay. I just didn't see your picture. But
Yeah,
she was.
there we go.
NAACP was singled out, and the police was called, and we had this set up for anybody that's doing poll monitoring, or we had it set up where they could call, go through the link and report it to the attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really quickly got that resolved. She even told her she could stand, where she, as long as she was within the law, she could stand. But they had actually asked her, told her she couldn't stand. All these other people, like you say, had their T-shirts on,
Mm-hmm.
and the NACP was the only one that was singled out
Mm-hmm.
to say that we could not stand where we were standing. We had to move. But like I said, it was quickly resolved. The attorneys got involved, and they got it fixed. But it's they only just singling out certain people. But like I said, can you tell us what time is the hearing tomorrow?
So the hearing starts at 9 a.m.
Okay.
Typically, when these hearings are in Atlanta, they can go all day. What we believe is that because it's in Macon and they probably won't get their people back, that it'll probably wrap up by 2:30. We anticipate that the Dougherty County folks, what we're calling the Food and Water Four, that their portion they will be called, probably before lunchtime or right after lunchtime, so no later than 11. 30 or 1:30 is what we're anticipating. We're asking folks who want to support and who want to attend to come and be in place no later than, I would say, 9:30 or 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Um,
And
that
this is
room is the same room that we had the redistricting, where they had the redistricting hearing. And so it's a lot of room in there, but we want to make sure that we have a good show of support.
now give us a location. Do you know what building it is at Mercer?
Let me pull it up. It's going to be at the Mercer, I think the Mercer School of Medicine.
Mercer School of Medicine. Okay.
Mhm. And I will
Well,
send out the press release with the exact location.
okay. And I know
Yep.
Dodger County. Now is that Albany?
Hmm. That's Albany. Yes,
Okay. So
and
they were arrested. Were they arrested or they were just charged retroactive? They just was retroactively went back and charged them.
they were intimidated with
Okay.
possibly
Okay.
being charged. And
Charged.
so, this is a part of the piece that we said, in our lawsuit is we told y'all that this was going to happen, that they were going to try to criminalize folks with this piece. But we actually get to put a face on it this time.
Right.
Dougherty County is about 60% Black.
Right.
Our community members, it's already a community that's directly impacted. It has Black leadership, right?
Right.
So, these are just the intimidation tactics that we knew was going to come down the pipeline from SB 202. And again, we don't think that anything will come of it. We don't think that they will, or try to move forward with charging them. But it's just the fact that these people for 2 years have been going through this and had this hanging over their heads, right?
Right.
Again,
Right.
that the law wasn't even in place at the time that this occurred. So
So I'm
that
just
is overreach.
yes, and I'm just
Mhm.
not
Wow.
quite understanding. Um, you know, you know, you and like you said, it's a form of intimidation. It really is, and a lot of things that they're doing is a form of intimidation because how can you go back and retroactively try to charge for someone
Mhm.
so something hadn't even went into law, wasn't in effect when
Mhm.
in they passed this law, but we know that is actually a term is targeted against people of color. Um,
Absolutely.
and so the only like I said, the only thing we did was get out and vote.
Mhm.
Something that we just showed up and showed out. And
Mhm.
so now that that's the issue. And that's all that we want people to do to exercise their right to vote because
Mhm.
like we've said all the time, that's where our strength is, that's where our power is. And if we get out and vote, we can you know, just about get anything that we basically ask for and need if we would just get out and vote because that's our strength and that's our power.
Mhm.
Right. And you wonder, what does it take to get the kind of support that's needed, community support to make a difference. People are facing all types of challenges these days, and they seem to question, what type of resolve, they're going to get, but they don't participate in the process of getting that resolve. We
Right.
need numbers. We need those numbers, those people to show up and to do what they need to do, to
Mhm.
take good instruction and do the things that we're requiring of them to do in support of these organizations that are fighting for their rights.
Right.
Mhm.
So I've
Mhm.
sent out a calling post, gonna be sending out a calling post um, Ms. Miller, to all our members, to get as many people that we can get there, uh, in support. And this is live streamed also. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
People are hearing this, so we need to, um, anyone that's here that's listening, we do ask for your support on tomorrow to be there, for these people that are being intimidated. Like she says, she don't think that the charges will stick, but
Mm-hmm.
you know,
It's a process, you
yeah,
know.
it's a
It's a
process.
process.
It's
Yeah.
the fact that this has
Yeah.
been hanging over their head for 2 years, not knowing
Mm-hmm.
what their fate is. And so,
Yes.
we do plan on being there. Hopefully, the people that are on here are supporters, and people that are listening, that they'll be there tomorrow for support.
Mm-hmm.
Plan on being there. As Ms. Miller said, that the if you can be there between 9:30 and 10, to be so we can pack this the MRSA for this hearing. And
Mm-hmm.
we really need your support. This is something, back in the 60s, you know, if something was going on, that the community showed up in numbers,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
support. And so we got to get back to that. We got to, it doesn't matter whether you're the NACP, whether you Black Voters Matter. If something is going on, and in this, um, is something that we need to be, that I'm not going to say that to be a part of something that's wrong, but this is right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter which organization it is. We need to support each other, and we need to be there for each other. And so my promise to you is, I know that I'll be there, and I've already shared with some of our members
Right.
that to be there. I'm hoping my entire executive committee will be
Mm-hmm.
there on tomorrow.
Thank you. And yes, it's not it. This is, a direct result. SB 202 is a direct result of us flexing our muscle at the polls in 2020
Right,
and in 2021. It wasn't what they were prepared for, the outcome. And,
right.
like Mr. Dumas said, when we show up together, there's nothing that we can't do. There's no seat that we can't have. There's no policy that we can't move. There's no power that we can't have.
Right.
Um, this is not a criminal matter, so to speak, but, they could potentially be fined, right? And why
Yes,
would you fight for providing comfort to folks who are in lines who stood up in 2020, 2021 and said, we don't like the direction that things are going. We believe that we deserve better. And this is what we're going to do in a democratic process,
right.
nonpartisan, and, just to set the precedent, right, for what could happen for other orgs like the NAACP, like what happened to the young sister last year, or it could be a D9, it could be, any org that's providing any level of comfort to folks. If they can
Right.
cross this line, what other lines can they cross?
That's
Right?
right.
You
That's
know, and,
right.
and one of the scenarios that, I don't even think they've thought about, when you're dealing with heat, if a person has a heat stroke in the process, uh, who would render care? What kind of care could
Mm-hmm.
you render to them? I mean,
Right. Right.
that's something I'm sure they haven't even thought about.
And this has
Mm-hmm.
nothing, giving out water has nothing to do with voting. It has the fact
Yes.
that
Right.
they are there because we know that lines are going to be long, especially during a
Mm-hmm.
presidential election,
Mm-hmm.
or even state elections. The depending on who's running, or what position, people are going to show up, and it's all about making sure that people are there's comfort there. You have some people that if they get too hot, they may actually get out of line and leave. So
Mm-hmm.
it's about providing comfort to people that are in line. um, and sometimes it's visible where you can see people are distressed, or
Yes.
I've known it that people have actually gotten too hot outside,
Mm-hmm.
waiting. I think it was an incident when we was
Right.
set up at the main board of elections. Somebody got sick in line. So these are the type of thing. It's not telling people who to vote for.
Yes.
It's the fact that we're just there to provide comfort, and people that are standing in long lines. So, but we
Mm-hmm.
have to send them. Georgia's been on the spotlight for a minute now, and
A
so
long
we've
time.
been in the limelight for a minute now, and so a lot of things are dependent on Georgia. But like I said, we will be there for support. And anything else you need, then that we will be here.
We greatly appreciate it. We are definitely, this coalition and the organizations who are doing the work on the ground are carrying democracy on our very backs and have been so for, the past 2 years. It's like one election cycle after another. I mean, even in Houston County in 2020, on that first day of early voting in that presidential, there were 9-hour wait times, and we only had one polling location open, which is
Right.
similar to Doherty County. One polling location because you were in the middle of a pandemic. You had seniors, you had white people, black people, whomever it was that can go, you're giving them comfort. And our boards of elections were not prepared for that volume. They weren't prepared
No.
for the disinformation of, folks talking about, don't vote with your ballot. They were canceling out ballots. They were trying to manage the lines, and it was just a mess. And
Wow.
so for the food and water forward down in Albany to be there to provide those comforts and to now have this hanging over their heads for multiple years is unacceptable. Again, we want to make sure that we support them, that we show force that they did nothing wrong, that this law is an overreach, and that we're not going to stand for it. That we can wear our NAACP shirts, our Black Voters Matter shirts, our D9 shirts, any nonpartisan shirts, and do our work, and not be faced with intimidation or
Absolutely.
other
That's
repercussions.
that's right. And Ms. Miller, there normally on election days, I'm not at a station at a certain. We do have people that are in monitoring, but I'm normally the person, and I normally have somebody else with me that I'm riding around to different polls to see if something is happening, because we've had, I think, one of the polling places this past election, there was no handicap
Mm-hmm.
signs, handicap accessibility, and I had to
Right.
go in and say, look, because I was there and a lady was actually in a wheelchair, and she was having to wheel way down the ramp to try to get to a. It was nothing right there in front of the door, and so they went ahead and came out and assessed the situation. They made the necessary corrections. We've been to where they won't let people vote because of, back then there were provisional ballots.
Right.
At one point before this Senate Bill 202, but I'm normally the person that rides around and make sure that there's no problems at the polls and different things like that. So it's so important that we keep an eye on all of that, because basically all of this that have been put in place is basically to intimidate people in voting, and also voter suppression.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely. And what happened here was the catalyst for all the voter suppression bills across the country.
Right, right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so tomorrow is our opportunity to stand in unity again and in coalition again in support of the folks who are doing good work on the ground, but also to send a message that we won't back down, right? And that
right,
Absolutely.
we will not stand for the overreach. We not if we got to fight, you gonna know we in a fight.
right.
Right. We're
That's
showing
right.
up with the gloves on.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, do you have anything else that you wanted to announce, or anything that was coming up that you need to announce before you leave?
Nope, I think that's it. I just hope that we can see everyone tomorrow at the Mercer School of Medicine in the auditorium. The hearing starts at 9. We're hoping that folks will get there between 9:30, no later than 10, and hang out with us. And then the press conference will be immediately following. We want to give opportunity for the Food and Water Forward to make their statements, and then those coalition members, yourself included, to speak to the egregiousness of what is SB 202, and the overreach of this hearing.
Okay. Well, it sounds good, and we will be there tomorrow. And thank you for coming on.
Thank y'all so much for having me. Have a great day.
Y'all too.
Absolutely. Thank
You
you for
too.
the work.
Thank you. And so that's that. We will be there. I'm gonna send out a calling post also, but I've already reached out to some members. We need to be there for support. It doesn't matter whether it's Black Voters Matter or the NACP or whatever organization. This is something that people are working on the grounds, and people should not be intimidated for doing good work. And it was nothing wrong with, like she say,
Right.
this is a situation that they're trying to retroactively go back, and this is absurd to retroactively go back. So what we're gonna do, also I wanted to give you an update. Founders Day. on February the 12th, which will be this Sunday. I know that's Super Bowl Sunday, but we wanted to try to celebrate Founders Day actually on our actually Founders Day, which is the 12th. We will be finished before the Super Bowl starts. So it's going to be early up in the day. We're going to be there from 11:30 to about 2. 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, yeah, to about 2 o'clock. We will be there celebrating Founders Day. And what we'll be doing is trying to promote membership. Our annual membership is $30 a year. And so we will have food also. We'll have fish, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll have some barbecue also. So this will be actually given out free to the public. So we wanted to make sure you come out, and we will have a membership table set up. You can some of the ways you can pay, you can do Cash App. Just make sure that you put your information, your name, address, telephone number in that Cash App that you seen in the memo part, so we can have your address and all your contact information. And when you're there, you can actually write a check, or you can send it through PayPal. We do have a PayPal account that's directly linked to um, our account. So there are different ways you can pay to become a member. It's $30. We need your support. We need your membership. We need the work. There's a lot of work that has to be done in our community. So again, we want to, and it's going to be at AutoZone on Mercer University. That's where we'll be stationed at on Sunday. And so we want to make sure that we get this announced so people will come. We can't stress enough how critical that membership is in this organization.
Absolutely.
We just don't want the membership. We want people to come. It's so a lot of time people don't join until something happens, and we need to be there. Something happens in their family. We need to be there. You need to be here when you don't need the NACP, because we're here to, helping somebody else. Like I said, I retired December 31st, and for my paying job, I worked for the state of Georgia, and so I retired there December 31st, and I've been in the courtroom um, since I've been retired. It's just nonstop, and so we been sitting in on cases, and it's very important that we, like I said earlier, that we do sit in on these cases. You all would not imagine some of the things that go on and that are said.
Absolutely.
That is just in all types of violation ethics that are being done. And so that's why it's so important. I can't sit in the courtroom all the time because they know who I am. And so I can just, like I said, the case that I sat in the other week, Mr. Dumas, the second person that came up, the judge was just off the chain. It was just unreal of her behavior. And I just, I just couldn't believe that somebody was she screaming and yelling. And so, but when, and I was there with that person, but when they took this person up first, because that was, go ahead on, we finished with her. But when they realized that I wasn't going anywhere, that I stayed to listen to everybody else that had to go, her whole attitude changed. It was just like she was a different person.
Wow.
When she saw that I was going to sit and I was not going to leave. So, like I say, they do right when they know they're being watched. And so, but people shouldn't have to sit in the courtroom for you all to treat people like human beings.
Exactly.
And so it's just something that we have to do. This housing is so serious, Mr. Dumas. Is people, the inflation of housing is, people cannot find affordable housings here in Macon. A lot of people come from different states to move here in Macon because of the cost of living.
Right.
It's not as high. But now the inflation of housing, Reverend Baker from the EOC was, on television last week talking about not being able to find affordable housing, that it's either a waiting list or the prices. And I just dealt with a lady this week where I went to court with her. She had a housing voucher that would pay for her house rent free. She didn't have to pay, but they only give you a certain time to find housing. Her voucher has now expired because she could not find affordable housing with the voucher that she had.
Wow.
And so, you can live where you want to live. And so now her voucher is expired. I asked for an extension. I don't know whether we're going to get it or not. They say they don't give extensions, but I just don't understand what
Knowing what the cost
the
is,
situation
right.
is, and why wouldn't you extend the voucher? So, she had called and she basically requested it, but I put it in writing because I want to see what their response is going to be. Instead of just calling, asking, and they say no, I want to put it in writing. So I need for them to respond back in writing, because inflation in housing has incredibly increased. And you're talking about a 1 bedroom in most places is $900. You got a voucher for $600 or something. You can't even find a 1 bedroom apartment or housing for $600 and something.
No.
So and that's something that I think that I'm gonna try to, in this town hall meeting, actually have HUD here, because that's something that the housing is set up in a way, and HUD kind of oversees. Why would we be creating vouchers that doesn't even cover
The cost
of housing? So it's not making sense to me.
It makes
but
it seem like they're doing something, but they're not doing anything.
And so that's just something that this is the type of work that we do, you all. I'm just, you all need to join in on this fight. A lot of time people, like I say, they don't come to us till it hit home.
Right.
It happens to them, but we got to be able to help other people. So we need your membership. We need your support. It takes money to run this organization. We ask for any donations that we have to raise our own money. So we're a nonprofit organization, but this is the type of stuff that we have to do. Sometimes we have to help. We help people pay their light bill or gas bill, or people, hit hard times sometimes. So we just ask for your membership. We want you to join. This is what we're going to be doing on Sunday. We're going to be soliciting membership, and we're hoping that we can get as many memberships as we can, because we need your support.
Absolutely. And I think we've run out of time, but we do want to thank our guest, Ms. Miller, for coming on and
Yes.
educating the people on some of the things that are happening out here as it relates to voting and voter suppression. And we do look for your support on Founders Day. A great organization was founded to look out for your rights, and for the needs of the community. And so we want your support. We solicit your support. And of course, the NAACP is always here for you. And
we've been around a long time.
time.
Actually, we are the only. We've been around a long time. The civil rights organization, and this organization was organized by a group of people that were made up of different races.
Absolutely.
Black and white organized this organization, and this organization came about because a lot of people of color were being lynched back during that time, and there was a lot of injustices toward African Americans. So
the fight goes on.
Right. So some of the same things that we were dealing with in the 60s, we're still dealing with them now. So we just need your support. Like I say, membership is only $30 a year. And most people spend $30
right
one night just eating out. So we're just asking for you to, just support us and pay the $30 to become a member, and so we can work and get started on things that matter.
Absolutely. So until next time, I'm Willie Dumas along with President Westbrooks. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you this weekend, hopefully.
Thank you.